Jackie from Ladybug Wellness. I'm often asked how I got to be where I am today as an energy practitioner, owning my own business, and doing what I do today. Having considered that I was a teen mom, I suffered through a major childhood distress, sexual trauma, got married young, been through 2 divorces. So a lot of things happened in my life, and I'm now here. I love my life. I'm living my passion, and I'm helping other people empower themselves. So how did I get here? Well, I published my story a few years ago. 2017 June, I published my story in this book, Heal Thyself. This is an anthology, and it's got 31 authors in it, 31 self-empowered women, all telling our own stories of how we've overcome and triumphed in our life. So this book is available on Amazon. I think you can still get some copies, but I thought it might be a good idea for me to share and read my story to you. So it's just 6 pages. Okay, my story is called, The Messages in Our Bottles, Transforming Pain into Freedom. All right. This is by Jackie Rioux. The Messages in Our Bottles, Transforming Pain into Freedom. I am often asked why I do what I do and how I got to this place in my life, a place of love, purpose, and passion. The answer is not a short one, for my journey has been an incredible adventure of learning, synchronicities, and epiphanies. There's also been plenty of trauma, but I am here to say that your worst trauma is often your greatest gift towards and the key to your life purpose. Why else would we go through all the hardships but to learn life lessons and to build character? My legacy is to share my journey with others, to be an inspiration and encouragement whenever I can. I am my own walking testimony. I grew up in northern British Columbia, Canada, in the area where the Kermode Great Spirit Bear resides. On road trips to visit my grandmother, we passed through my birth town of Smithers, British Columbia. My mother would point to the mountaintop forestry lookout tower where my father used to work where I was conceived. I love to tease her about that now. Perhaps this is where my love of mountains came from. According to Akashic Records, this aspect of my conception is indicative that I am one of 800 special souls who have come to Earth to encourage others. It didn't feel this way, however. It didn't always feel this way, however. Although I do have some good memories, most of my early life was overshadowed with trauma, upsets, and a myriad of fears. We often had boarders and foster kids living with us. When I was 6, a certain 16-year-old boy stayed with us for the summer. The sexual abuse and his subsequent threats to torture me and kill my parents if I told anyone left me with deep fears of darkness, guns, confined spaces, heights, being alone in the forest, and being tied up. I also had trust issues and a multitude of triggers and recurring nightmares well into my 20s. I had a skewed sense of respectable personal and social boundaries as well. This, however, was only the first of 4 separate cases of childhood sexual abuse I would endure before the age of 14. My father had totalitarian rule over our home. I was his confidant, his daddy's girl, and he took his teaching with me across a line a father should never cross. This in turn damaged my relationship with my mother. These experiences and the resulting shame and low self-esteem contributed to many years of being bullied and withdrawn through my grade school years. When I was 15, I latched on to the first boy who told me I was beautiful. Ironically, he had been one of the boys who picked on me back in grade 6. Thinking I could escape my father, I got pregnant right away, but I had only jumped from the frying pan into the fire. My new husband was rarely home, and when he was home, he had an unpredictable, volatile temper. It was a tumultuous relationship, exasperated by my childhood secrets that had surfaced, and at one point he slit his wrist while I was at home. He was also unable to hold a steady job, and our time on social assistance ended only after I secured a job at the post office. With my new income security, I was able to help him to secure a business loan, which he used to buy a carpet cleaning business. That venture was productive for a while, but my husband lacked business sense, and it eventually became a financial strain. Our marriage was stagnant as well. It takes two to make it work, and after a total of 4 children in 10 years, I gave up. The truth was we were both mentally immature and contributed to the breakdown. There were several years of tearful conflict in court over maintenance and custody as he blamed me for everything and left me with the majority of the marriage and business debt. At 28, I found myself divorced with 4 children to raise. I would learn many harsh life lessons during that time, lessons that most people learn in their teenage years. For all I had been through, I was in many ways extremely naive. My childhood issues lurked beneath the surface, and I attracted all the wrong people into my life. I've been lied to, betrayed, violated, and heartbroken more times than I care to count. In 2002, a whirlwind romance and an impromptu marriage turned into a 2-year nightmare with a pathological liar. Whereas my first husband's neglect had brought about my abandonment issues, my second husband's clinginess amplified my claustrophobia issues. When I finally said I wanted a divorce, he overdosed on prescription pills and had a seizure in front of me. When one marriage fails, it is easy to blame the other person. When a second marriage fails, it's time to look in the mirror. I was so scarred from that marriage that I didn't date anyone for almost 6 years. It was a lonely time of my life, yet it was also when my personal growth accelerated. And since then, I have learned to enjoy my own company rather than relying on a romantic partner. As children go through the various stages of development, they often assert their independence by throwing temper tantrums until they learn healthy coping skills with which to navigate the world. I believe this process is not limited to children, and that we go through these growth stages at any point in life. That said, it is more difficult to learn these skills as an adult when we are expected to be mature. Trauma keeps us stuck in the past and creates a landmine of unresolved triggers. For some, these triggers cause an explosion of rage. I, on the other hand, would implode, withdrawing into myself like a wounded animal. I have since learned my issues were similar to hyposexuality and PTSD, and this manifested into my early life as poor choices and coping skills. Childhood sexual abuse ravages a person on every level, right down to the core of their being. It can manifest physically and be a precursor to internal health issues. Twice in my life, I went through the horrifying experience of passing a kidney stone. The pain was so excruciating, I would rather go through all 4 of my childbirth labors at once than ever go through that again. In 2006, I had been sick for over a year with stomach issues for which the doctor could not find a reason. I had unexpected flare-ups, often while out on my mail route, and I took excessive sick leave that year. Eventually, my doctor discovered that I had an ulcer. This was also unbearably painful, and there were times I wondered if this is what it was like to die. Between my illness and disruptive office politics at work, coupled with yet another court battle with my ex-husband, I was overwhelmed. On April 23, 2008, I reached my breaking point. While at work, I erupted in hives and began hyperventilating. Realizing something had to be done, I took 3 months off work and reevaluated my life. I knew I couldn't stay in a job that was no longer aligned with my values, and the other areas of my life were not going well either. Not long after my soul searching began, I started experiencing a series of synchronistic events that would change my life. First, with this new perspective, I enrolled in an evening Psych 101 class. I had always had an interest in psychology, but with financial and time constraints, I had never before been able to pursue it. Within just a few exhilarating and intriguing classes, I knew I had found my happy place. Around this time, I met a lady who was involved in a women's business network. She introduced me to a line of nutrition products that helped heal my stomach. Later, I also met several influential mentors, teachers, and business people who catapulted my personal growth to new levels. I took classes and courses, I learned new skills, and I started my own business, Ladybug Wellness. The ulcer experience had turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The breakdown at work was the pivotal point that changed my life path and my healing journey. I am grateful for the corporate job that provided a steady income so that I could raise my children, but after 26 years, it was time to go. My decision to explore other avenues allowed me to retire early and focus solely on my passion. Through the years, counseling was a source of support, but not relief. I was numb, yet easily triggered. At one point, as a therapeutic release, I wrote out all my disturbing ordeals in detail. There's an analogy I like to use about trauma. Each event is like a ship in a glass bottle. Each time an upsetting event happens, we put the pieces together in the bottle and place it on a shelf. Whenever a new upset happens, these glass bottles fall and shatter on the floor, and we seem to really relive everything all over again. Over time, we get more efficient at putting everything into glass bottles and putting them back on the shelf, but they are always there and they're always fragile. When we begin our real healing journey, we start to put those pieces back into plexiglass bottles, and eventually we can close the door on the storage room that holds those bottles. There are no longer any triggers that pull us into the oblivion of glass shards, compounded pain, and an overwhelming disorganized mess. The most profound transformation came when I was introduced to the emotion code, a non-invasive technique adept in releasing the emotional charge that keeps us rooted in traumatic thoughts and blind to the good memories. I was finally able to put those horrific memories in the past where they belong. These days, the writing of my ordeals now read like someone else's story. I can remember those events if I choose to, but they are not in the forefront of my mind anymore. The wonderful memories have now been unblocked, and my future looks brighter as well. I can feel, and I am grateful for, all the good things in my life. Music is the language of the soul and has always been a source of inspiration throughout various times of my life. The various genres, from metal to instrumental classics, have been indicative of themes of my life, from rebellion and anger, sorrow and loss, to contemplation and happiness. I am grateful for the many activities that helped me gain confidence over the years, including modeling, Toastmasters, hiking, scuba diving, firearms safety courses, and skydiving. Most of all, I am grateful for my maternal grandmother's Christian influence in my life. Faith has been my solace. My relationships have also healed. My father passed in 2014. Our relationship was contentious, but thankfully I learned to forgive him for the past before that point. He raised me with his own continued cycle of abuse. No matter the relationship with our parents, when they are gone, we grieve. And I cried profusely. It was from him that I gained my love of rocks and nature, my resourceful survival skills, and my fascination with words and language. As the eldest of 4 girls, he was hard on me, but that adversity is part of what forged my inner strength. My relationship with my mother has also drastically improved, and I am blessed to have many wonderful friendships as well. The bioenergetic modalities and techniques I use have allowed me to witness miracles of transformation in myself, my loved ones, and in my clients. My worst trauma has emerged as my gift of compassion and encouragement, and I share these resources with others through my website to assist them with their personal growth. When asked about my philosophy on life, I defer to Bon Jovi. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear, living on a prayer. So that's my story. It's in the book, Heal Thyself. You can go into my website, ladybugwellness.ca, www.ladybugwellness.ca. There is tons of information in there. My story is there. There's information on how you can have your story published, and all sorts of self-empowering techniques, as well as my services I offer through energy balancing. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more self-empowering videos. Thank you.